Mark Skaar with the legendary Punky Meadows. Punky, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Very good, Mark. It's my pleasure. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you have a fantastic album after being away for 30-plus years. It's called Fallen Angel, and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very proud of this record. Like I was saying before, you know, it's a record that we wanted to. Danny and Aniel, and my partner, you know, we write songs together, and it's a record that I wanted to put together that was very melodic, had great hooks, great verses, but yet big guitars, big drums, great vocals, but kicks ass at the same time. I mean, you know, I grew up listening to, of course, my influences were all the British blues guitar players, of course, like Clapton, Page, Beck, Hendrix, and Gary Moore, those kind of guys, even David Gilmour. I love all those guys, you know, so. But at the same time, you know, I loved ABBA, David Cassidy, the Monkees, the Beatles, you know what I mean? And I was the kind of guy that would come downstairs singing Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy, but go to the nightclub and play Communication Breakdown. So I was saying to Danny, I said, you know, I'd like to put a record together that has great melodies, great hooks, that people can sing along with. It makes people happy if they want to sing along with it. Also, big guitars and drums and bass and vocals, but that kicks ass, but it's very melodic at the same time. And I think we pretty much accomplished that with this record. And it's very diversified because, you know, I used to play in house bands for like 3 years straight, and in those days you had to play everything from rock, pop, soul, R&B, country, blues, and your original stuff. So, and I love playing all different types of music too. So I wanted to make an album that was diversified. So there's a lot of albums, you know, you put it on, you hear the first song, you pretty much hear all the rest of the songs are pretty much in that vein. They all kind of go that way. But this album is different. Every song is different, but yet every song is very singable and it has a good rhyme to it. It makes you feel good, and it's been getting great reviews all over the world. Even in France, the guy called me a genius, and I think he's thinking about Jerry Lewis or something in France. But you know, it's a great album. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, I love to listen to it myself because it just makes, not because it's my record or my guys, my band, but it's just they're good songs, and they're just nice to listen to, and it's fun. It makes you want to pump your fist and sing along, and you get, you know, it's like when you first heard the AC/DC record, you know, it makes you want to get up and dance and jump around and pump your fist and sing along with it, you know. So that's actually what we want to do with this record. I think we pretty much did that. So and it was a lot of fun to make too. There was never any problems with it. We just had a great time making it. So I'm pretty proud of it.
Punky, where did you find Danny? Where did you guys hook up and start writing?
Well, Danny was a big fan of Angel and myself, and he used to. I first met Danny when I left LA in 1988, and I got tired of the music business, and I just got fed up with it, and I decided to go back east and reinvent myself, and I opened up some businesses and did really well, but I never stopped playing guitar. Every night I would sit on the couch and I had a little tape recorder. I would play, because playing guitar is not something I want to do. It's something I have to do. It's in my blood, and I play. I still do every single night. I play my guitar. I watch TV by myself because nobody can be around me because I play guitar through the commercials, through the TV shows, you know, and I tape stuff and I write things. But I kind of really got into country music too back then because I'm from Virginia originally, you know, and so two of my favorite guitar players that were friends of mine was Roy Buchanan and Danny Gatton, who were two great, amazing guitar players, and they would play every type of music there is and better than the best in the fields could play it. So I learned a lot from them. But you know, so I had my business now. I had these Tandy songs at one point, and Danny sent me a letter, and he wanted to come down and meet me. He was a big fan, so he came down and we met, and he brought me some Angel paraphernalia. He's a big collector of Angel stuff and Kiss and all kinds of stuff like that. And he brought me some Angel toys and trucks and things like that. And we talked for a long time. And he's a really nice guy, so we kind of kept in touch, you know, through letters and that thing. And he's also a sculptor. He does really good sculpting too. So we kept in touch through letters and that kind of thing. And then of course when Facebook came about, and I joined Facebook, and then I met Danny through there again. You know, and we started talking, and he said, "Hey, I'm with Main Man Records, and we'd love to do a solo album with you." And so, you know, I said, "Well, that'd be great." So, you know, then he flew down to Charlotte here in North Carolina. We started writing songs together, and we knew we had something together right away because he feels the same way with me. I mean, he loves all the pop stuff as well as the heavy stuff too, the big rock stuff too. And so we gelled right away, and so we wrote some great songs together. We were really happy, and so we went in the studio and put them down, and it took us a year to do it, but it really wasn't a year recording time because I was in Charlotte, so I would fly up to New Jersey to do the basic tracks, and then Danny would come down here and we'd do the guitar tracks down here in North Carolina, and then I'd fly back up to Jersey, do the vocals, and keep keyboards and mixing up there too. So probably the actual total recording time was maybe 2 months, because I mean I did all my guitar parts, rhythms and solos, everything in 4 days. I did everything quickly, and it was that easy because it was just so inspirational, and it's such a great time doing it. So it took a year to get it all together, but Danny and myself, we wrote, produced it, and arranged it, even did the cover art for it. We did the whole thing ourselves, so. Which is great because we had creative control, which is a great thing too. And so, so it was a lot of fun, and I'm very proud of it. So we're excited,
We're talking with Punky Meadows about Fallen Angel, and you pulled in your former Angel bandmate Felix Robinson on this as well.
Of course, Felix is an underrated player. I mean, Felix is a great musician. He's a great bass player, and he can play anything too. And Felix and I always got along because he could play, pop, R&B, soul, funk, everything. He's really an excellent bass player. He's not just a bass player like in a lot of these heavy metal bands, just thump the bass. I mean, he actually can play bass really, really well. He's also a great singer, a really good keyboard player, and he's a good guitar player. So the guy's an all-around great musician. So I knew when I did this record, I said I want to get Felix to play on this album because he's good, he's quick, he picks up things good, he creates really good bass lines, and so it was a no-brainer when I decided to bring Felix into the band, and it worked out great. He's a great guy too. Was Chandler Mogul kind of the last piece of the puzzle? He was, yeah. We had these songs done, and we actually wrote all the melodies. I mean, the melodies were already done. We wrote the songs, melodies, and everything, lyrically and melodically too. So, but we wanted a singer that we didn't want an '80s sounding singer. We wanted somebody that was more modern, but also could deliver these tunes because Frank was such a great singer. He had such a high voice, but we didn't want a singer that just sang high. We wanted somebody that had more range, and we had we got a lot of audition tapes come in and stuff, and there were a lot of good singers, but just nobody really knocked me out right away. And then we had actually finished recording everything except for the keyboards, and so we had Chandler come in and sing on Straight Shooter and The Price You Pay in the studio just as a demo. And as soon as I heard that, I said, this is the guy. Because he sang the record just the way I wanted to hear it. He sang the melody, but yet, of course, he embellished it too and did his own thing with it as well. But he stuck to the melody. And the guy's a natural, man. He's just a natural singer. I mean, he's got a great voice, and it's a nice, pleasing voice as well. And he can sing just about anything, too. I mean, he plays in a wedding band, for God's sake, so... he has to sing all kinds of material, too. But he's a great singer, and he's a good kid, and so, he's just a no-brainer. He's a great singer. I can't say enough about Chandler's voice.
Yeah, I think he's the perfect choice for that material. Yeah, you did a video for Straight Shooter?
We did that. That was the first one we were going to put out as a single. But, however, I originally wanted to just send the CD out to everybody and let them pick their own songs, because as far as I'm concerned, every song on this record could be a single in certain genres of music, But Straight Shooter was the one that we thought would probably get picked the quickest, so that's out there now as a single. But we'll do another one as another single too. It may be even Leaving Tonight, and Danny sings Leaving Tonight on that, because people love that song too. It seems to hit a mark with a lot of people, and it's a really beautiful song too. And I'm really happy with the guitar work on the end of that too, which is really soulful and melodic as well as heartfelt. So that's me playing that.
I like every single song, and that's, as a fan, Punky, too, it's rare when you can come upon a record and say, I could just listen to that over and over again, but Fallen Angel fits that category.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because everybody's been saying that, and I really, I believe that too. It's funny, when we first started playing it back, Danny and I, after we did the rough mix, we were hitting each other on the arm and saying, man, these are good songs, man. They're fun to sing along. We were singing along with them too, and it's, I think it's one of the things you kind of hit on by accident, maybe. We knew what we were doing. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to have songs that was diversified, but at the same time had great melody and that you wanted to sing along with, and to make you happy, the kind of song you'd want to play in the summer with your top down in the car and crank it and want to hear it over and over again. And everybody's been saying that, and the reviews all over the world, everybody says they pick each song and talk about how great each song is, which is a great thing, because at first we were thinking, I wonder what song they're going to pick to play, and everybody would say a different song, and so Dana said, well, that's a good thing. That means everybody likes every song on the album, so they're not just picking one song. And like you said, a lot of times there may be one or two songs on the album. The rest of them are kind of fillers, you know, or all the songs kind of sound the same on records. But this record is not like that, and I think that comes from my different styles of music, wanting to play country and R&B and soul and pop and you know, and original stuff too, you know, because I was in house bands and played in these bars where I had to play, you know, different songs every night, different types of music every night, and I love playing all that music from soul. I would play horn lines from the midnight hour. I would play in an octave, and I love doing that kind of stuff, you know. So that's kind of how this album turned out. If you listen to a song like Shadow Man, it's so different than, say, Price You Pay or Lost and Lonely. You know, every song is different, but every song is a fun song to sing, and it has a good vibe to it. So I'm glad to hear you say it, because everybody's saying the same thing. They're playing it over and over again, and I play it a lot because I like to listen to it, not because it's us. It's just a fun album to listen to, and it's fun to sing along with it, and it's exciting at the same time. It kicks ass, but yet it's, you know, it's a good vibe, and that's an important thing and really cool, you know.
We're talking to Punky Meadows.
On about that, I guess. I'm getting redundant, but you know, it's just a fun album. It really is.
You mentioned two of my absolute favorites: The Price You Pay and Lost and Lonely. Something Strange is another favorite. If I had to pick three.
Yeah, and they're all great songs, I know, and each one of those songs is a little different. Something Strange is almost like a Nirvana kind of riff going on. It's like kind of, it just came up just that way by accident, not because they're trying to, but yet it still has a great melodic sound to it. And I love the solo in Something Strange because it's almost like a 60s movie soundtrack or something. It's really cool. And yeah, you know, those songs are great, and you know, every song came out just the way we wanted it to come out, and even more so, I think we were kind of surprised ourselves a little bit. Like I said, we had such a great time doing it. There was no struggle at all. Everything just kind of fell in place naturally, and we just, you know, kept saying, "Wow, this is sounding pretty cool."
I would encourage people to buy the actual CD, because you get a very cool booklet. Like you said, you had a hand in all the artwork. It was all done in house. A lot of cool pictures, period pictures from the Angel days, and plus, if you get depending on what version you get, you can get some bonus tracks. That's right. You get the two bonus tracks. One with Frank Domino singing on Lost and Lonely. It's in the track there that he sings on, and also They Don't Like My Ways, which is Danny's actually singing on that, which is a real kind of a real rebellious, you know, songs that look like a lot of, you know, teenage boys are going to like, because it's all about how he's a badass and they don't like my ways, but tough shit. I'm cool anyway. I'm going to do my thing, you know. And it's got some really cool guitar lines in there too, man. A lot of wah-wah pedal and stuff in there. It's really neat. And the bonus track is the one everybody actually bought from A-Man Records. Most people bought that because you get the two bonus tracks. Also, you get a sign. I autographed each one of those, which was a real to-do, because I had to sit in a hotel room for 3 days and just sign each one of those, like thousands of them in boxes, you know, and my hand would get cramped, you know, after a while. And also you get a guitar pick with that too. So yeah, I just and it's like and there's 17 tracks on there. Even the regular edition has 15 tracks. So most CDs, you know, you got to have 9, 10, maybe 11 tracks on them. But they were saying, you know, you can make a double album, or you can keep some of those songs from the second album. We said no. We're pretty prolific. Let's put those songs there and give the fans, you know, the money's worth. And so, you know, I'm glad that everybody got to hear all these songs. I didn't want to keep them back. I wanted everybody to hear them because we were so proud of them too. Yeah, I'll have to get those bonus tracks. I have the 15, so yeah, I'll seek that out.
I'm going to get Danny, and we'll send some of these CDs to you guys out there.
Cool, very cool. We're talking with Punky Meadows about Fallen Angel. I know back in the middle of June, you did a gig at BB King's. It was real cool because you had a couple of background singers and some other odds and ends, and played the spectrum of new songs and Angel songs. And I saw some of it on YouTube. It looked great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was our very first gig, so obviously we were a little nervous about that. We wanted to make sure it sounded really good, and so I wanted to get some background singers, because on this album there's a lot of background harmonies on there that are really, really big and really nice. And like I said, I wanted that on this album. I wanted to have an album that had, you know, background vocals like the Eagles or whatever, or something like that. But yeah, you know, because I didn't want it just to be a lead singer, bass, drums, and guitar. I didn't want that. I wanted keyboards, you know, and great background vocals as well. So we wanted to make sure. When we got Jessie as one of the background singers, and she actually is the background singer for Lenny Kravitz and also for Kid Rock, and so they were great, and it was fun having them on stage. So we'll probably keep those kind of things going on too, because again, with this solo thing, I don't want to limit myself to anything. If I wanted to have a horn section on one song, I would do that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to do what I want to do, because I want to be able to create some really good music and not just, try to stick to one thing and everybody's to pigeonhole myself. I don't want to do that. But yeah, so we had that, and actually the review the next morning says Punky Meadows lights up New York City. So it was good. We had a few little zingers there, but I mean that was our first gig, and so we were ironing some wrinkles out. But it was a fun show. It was packed. The place loved it. We had a great time.
Going to be any further touring, further shows? I know there's one in August.
Yeah, we're doing Truckaderos in August. We're also doing a 2-day festival in New Jersey with Alice Cooper and Twisted Sister and a bunch of, I think, Dawkins, a bunch of other bands. And Ace Frehley will be there, too. So we're doing that outdoor festival, 2-day festival up there. And then we're putting together a tour right now, so we'll be hitting everybody's neighborhood sooner or later.
Cool. I wanted to cover some other stuff. You mentioned Frank before. You played on his record, which came out last year. That record's great, too. It's called Old Habits Die Hard.
Yeah, it's a great record. I did a solo on that for Frank on that, and so he returned the favor and did the vocal on my record. And actually, I'm going to fly out there pretty soon. They're shooting a video for that, the one that I played on. So I'm going to fly out there and be in his video. So in fact, he just called me a little earlier. I have to call him back.
Track is called Never Again, the one that you're on.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Going way back, pre-Angel, Daddy Warbucks with the late, great Ralph Mormon. The record came out in, I guess, 76?
Yeah, what happened was that was actually recorded in probably 73. Yeah, we had Ralph, a great singer. Ralph was an amazing singer. He was probably the best singer I ever worked with at the time. He could sing like Tina Turner. I mean, he was like Rod Stewart. I mean, he was a great singer. I miss him, but yeah, we had this band together called Daddy Warbucks that we put together, and which later became Bucks because we couldn't use the word Daddy Warbucks, but became Bucks. But we recorded that album with for Capitol Records back in 73, 74 maybe, beginning of 74, late 73, and we actually recorded that with Jack Douglas and Jay Messina, who produced all of Aerosmith stuff in the early days. And that's how I got involved with, David Krebs from Aerosmith and those people that actually wound up, getting a bidding war for Angel. But yeah, Ralph's a great singer. We did that record, but they wound up not releasing that for the manager we had at the time, Frank Conley, didn't pay something happened with misappropriation of funds or something, and so Capitol kept that record. They wouldn't release it to us, and so they kept it in their vault. And then of course when Angel came out, and then Angel was doing well, they decided to release it then on the coattails of Angel, and that's what happened. That came out. That's why mine and Mickey's picture is not on that on the album cover, but of course we played on the record, but because they wanted to hurry and put it out, so they put a couple other people on there, and so they could put the album out to try to ride on the Angel coattails. But Ralph, like I said, Ralph's a great singer. He was. I knew Ralph for many years. We kind of grew up together, and I always wanted to be in a band with him, and I finally got to be in. It was a great time with Ralph.
Talking with Punky Meadows, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the iconic, probably the coolest logo ever, the second Angel one. You know the one I'm talking about, of course, the one
upside down one.
Yep.
Yeah, that was an interesting story. We had our original logo, which was the Sphinx with kind of like my hairdo, I guess, on it, and but we were playing somewhere down south or Midwest somewhere, and our manager David Joseph came backstage and said, "Hey, this kid made this logo. I want you to see it. It's really cool." So, he showed it to us and he looked at it. That's really nice. And he turned it upside down and we went, "Holy shit, that is really cool." It was like if you had smoked a joint, you thought you were tripping or something, Because back then, that kind of stuff we never heard of that sort of thing, and later on it became a thing. And they actually put that in Omni magazine when it first came out. You remember Omni magazine? That futuristic magazine?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was actually an Omni magazine because it was such a cool thing. But yeah, so he brought this kid backstage, and this kid said, "Yeah, I did. I thought it was really great." And we said, "Man, that is really really cool." And so our manager said, "We'd like to use this for our logo." So he actually gave the kid some money, and we used it for our logo. And I remember I'd see people, out there because we had it would turn around on stage. Sometimes people would be smoking joints. You could see them go, "What the hell?" So it was cool. And to this day, like when I have my albums on my wall here and the CDs and stuff, and I'll have a neighbor will come over and I'll show him. I'll say, "Watch this." And I'll turn it upside down. He goes, "Wow, that is so cool." So yeah, that was pretty neat.
People are still discovering to this day.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got to talk, because the very first thing I ever got into as a kid was Kiss. And, of course, they were so instrumental for so many of us. I always like to say Kiss corrupted me.
A lot of people, they were well, a lot of kids. My son loved Kiss. I mean, who doesn't love Kiss, you know?
Right, I know. And in the 70s, they were just so great. Another band with great poppy songs.
Except for the critics that, thought they were just, too good for everybody else. But, But it's like Paul Stanley said, the critics they think they speak for all when it's only one person, and everybody loves Kiss. You couldn't when you saw Kiss live, you were converted right away. I mean, it was like going to the circus or something. You just and they had such cool songs, and Ace was such a cool guitar player and stuff. So
yeah,
the whole thing. You couldn't help but love Kiss. Who didn't?
But of course, it's kind of interesting because for you, they played a role. Bookending Angel, they helped you get on Casablanca for one, because they heard of you and saw you, and we can start there and talk about how Gene and Paul were integral in getting Angel on Casablanca.
Yeah, well, we had Angel together, and we put together this club called Bogies that Ralph and I played in with Bucks, and that band broke up. We put Angel together. Greg and Mickey and myself put Angel together in this loft upstairs. But we put the band together, Angel. We were showcasing ourselves downstairs at this club, and we had the whole scene together. We had the flash pots going off and knocking the whiskey bottles off. We had the whole, not in white, but we were the first kind of glam band to come out in the D.C. area back then. Before that, everybody was kind of wearing T-shirts and holy jeans and that sort of thing, like the Allman Brothers. No, I love the Allman Brothers. Don't get me wrong, I love that band, but that was kind of the look, and we kind of started that whole glam thing in the D.C. area, and it was like all of a sudden, it went from black and white to color when we started that kind of thing, and so we had lines around the block and playing this club. And anyway, so Paul and Gene and Ace came down. They had been playing at the Capitol Center, I think, in D.C. at the time. And they came down and they saw us, and Gene just lit up. He thought it was the greatest thing he'd ever seen. I remember I used to do this move on stage where I'd hold my hand over my arm over my head and point at my guitar and then play with one hand. And Gene made that same move. He goes, "Punky, this classic." So he loved the band. He thought we were so great, and so he. So then we did our showcase for managers, and we had Lieber and Krause who managed Aerosmith and AC/DC and the Scorpions and Nugent. They came to see us. They wanted to sign us up. Sandy Pullman, who managed Ballistic Cult, wanted to sign us up, and then of course Toby organizations, David Joseph, wanted to sign us up too. So we actually wound up going to Toby and moved out to California. So we were sitting in our manager's office, and we were talking about record companies that we'd like to showcase ourselves for, and Casablanca came up, and our manager David said, there's this new company called Casablanca, and Neil Bogart, he has Kiss on their label. It might be smart to go with a smaller label because they'll put more into you as opposed to being with a larger label. You just be part of the roster, So he said, let's give Neil a call. So he calls Neil Bogart up, Casablanca president there, and he says, "Hey Neil, I got this band called Angel, and we're looking for a record deal. And by the way, Gene and Paul and Ace saw them and thought they were great. Would you like to see the band play?" And so Neil Bogart says, "I'll tell you what, Kiss is playing out at Anaheim next week, and I'll let Angel open up for Kiss, and I'll see if I like them, and we'll check it out there." And he says, "Let me give Gene a call, and I'll call you right back." So Neil hangs up, and he calls. Then he calls back 15 minutes later and says, "I'll tell you what, I'll sign the band sight unseen because Gene said under no way will Angel ever open for Kiss." And so I guess apparently Gene and Kiss, they were afraid that we'd be too much of a threat for them on stage. So Neil said, "I'll sign the band sight unseen." But we actually did play for him. We went to a little rehearsal hall down out in the valley and played for Neil. Of course, he loved it, and so he signed us up right away. And so that was our beginning with Casablanca. And it was a great company at the time because they were a smaller company. When we first signed with them, they had just this house up in the Hollywood Hills where each bedroom was a different part of the office. You know what I mean? Like promotional part of the office. One bedroom would be in, and then the other bedroom would be something else. But they were a real small family, but they were really, really cool, and they were really behind the band. So it was a great time.
We're talking with Punky Meadows, and by the way, you talked about that move that Gene said was great. They stole it, didn't they?
Yeah, it's funny because we went to see them, and that was the first time I saw Kiss live. We went to see them out in somewhere in Long Beach or somewhere in California, but maybe it was a Forum, I can't remember. And that's the first time I saw Kiss live, and I was just blown away. We heard the records, but I'd never seen them live, and it was like I was totally blown away. I became an instant fan. But yeah, there was all Ace up there with doing my move up there, and Barry his finger me goes, man, he stole your move, man, he stole your move. And I said, well, that's okay. So we go backstage afterwards to meet them and stuff because we were in Casablanca by then, and Ace looked at me and said, well, man, I stole your move, man, but I had to do it. It's just such a cool move. I said, that's all right, dude, man. I'm flattered, man. It's cool. So it was all right. You know what I mean? I did my windmills from Pete Townsend, so everybody. I was flattered. You know what I mean? So it was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So fast forward to I think 1982, Ace leaves Kiss. So Cattle Call rolls out. I'm sure everybody and their brother is going, oh wow, there's an opening in Kiss, and lo and behold, you get involved.
Yeah, Barry Levine was the photographer for Casablanca. Well, everybody, he did all the photos for us, for Kiss, for Cher at the time, and everybody. He's a great photographer. And Kiss, Gene and Paul, they were in the recording, I think the record plant, a recording studio. And I had heard through the grapevine they were auditioning guitar players, but I didn't really hear that much about it because Greg and I were still together, putting a kind of revamped Angel together. Mm-hmm. And so Barry Levine calls him and he goes, hey, Punky, Kiss are looking for a guitar player. And I said, I heard about that. And he goes, I mentioned it to Gene, and Gene said, that'd be a great idea. So why don't you let me have Gene give you a call and discuss it with him? So I said, sure. So I hang up. Gene calls me back and says, hey, Punky, yeah, we're looking for a guitar player. Why don't you learn like one side of the Kiss Alive album? It doesn't matter which side it is, just learn one side and come on down to SIR, rehearsal studios, and set in and play. I said, sure, man. Okay, I'll do that. Sounds like fun. So, I hung up and I learned one side of the Alive album, probably the first side. I can't remember anyway. I learned one side of the Alive album. Mm-hmm. And I went down there, and when I was walking up the studio, they were playing Communication Breakdown by Zeppelin, and it was really funny. And it was Paul, Gene, and Eric, the drummer. And so, I plugged up, and we played, and it sounded great. We had a great time playing it. I fit in perfectly, I assume, because they really dug it. So Gene, after we're done, Gene says, well, let's sit down. We were sitting on the drum lodge. He said, let's sit down and talk business. He says, you got the gig, man. So what do you want? Let's talk business. And I said, well, Gene, I'm still working with Greg right now. We're shopping a deal. So I guess as soon as I said that, for some reason, I guess it insulted Gene right away or hurt his ego. I don't know what happened. He just right away, he stood up and said, come on, Paul, let's go. And they just stormed out of there and just left me sitting there with Eric, And so I was kind of dumbfounded. I said, wow. And I said, I guess I don't know what I did. And so Eric and I talked about a half an hour. Really nice guy. We talked. And I went home. Barry Levine calls me up and he says, hey, Punky, what'd you do? And I said, what do you mean what I do? He said, well, Gene and Paul came back to the studio, and their jaws hit the floor, and I said, no one has ever turned down Kiss. And I said, well, Barry, I didn't say yes or no. I didn't turn them down. I didn't say yes or no. I didn't have time to say yes or no. I just said, that I was just working with Greg right now, and then they just stormed out of there. And he said, well, it's unfortunate because they were going to offer you points on the album plus $200,000 a year. And I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that because I could use the money at the time. But I like I said, I didn't really say yes or no. They just I guess I hurt his ego. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't meant to be. So that was that story. And that's how it ended up. But I have to thank to yourself too. Kiss was always Ace and Peter too. You know what I mean? So even when Kiss actually did have Benny Vincent and some other guitar players after that too. They took their makeup off, and it wasn't quite the same. They weren't selling the arenas out anymore. And it wasn't until actually Ace and Peter came back on that MTV Unplugged that the crowd went nuts again. They put their makeup back on, and then it was the real band at Kiss, and they were selling out arenas again. So there's something to be said about that. It's like also when Joe Perry was replaced by Brad by Rick Dufay and who's the other guy?
Jimmy Crespo.
Jimmy Crespo, yeah. It wasn't the same Aerosmith. When you have a band, it's like having the Stones without Keith Richards or Led Zeppelin without Page. The Kiss was Kiss with Ace and Peter, so that was meant to be. So maybe that's why that wasn't supposed to be me, I mean, people say I would have made a great addition. It would have been great. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. We'll never know. But it was Ace and Peter's band, so. I guess it was meant to be that way. So I have no regrets.
So that would have been after Creatures of the Night was cut, because I'm not sure, because Vinny was, I think, on that record, but on the initial pressing, Ace was pictured. So we're still in the makeup years. Well, I wonder what you would have been.
Well, I was it's funny because I remember sitting down for a second with Gene before he stormed out of it. We were just kind of talking about, because I said something being a wise ass. I said, well, what would I be, an elephant? I guess being silly, because we all kind of talked about, what would you be if you were in Kiss? Everybody would make fun and say, well, I would be a stork. You know what I mean? So I kind of made it that kind of snobby, being kind of snarky, I guess. But yes, that was the makeup period. So I don't know what I would have been. What those guys say on the 3 o'clock of the coin, they said you could have been an angel. Right. I could have been like an archangel or something, maybe something. I don't know. We'll never know.
Right. And then I suppose because you were a known quantity, they probably would have given you a first and last stage name. I don't know.
I guess, I don't know, because I think that, I think they may want to use that to their advantage, maybe, because we were on the same. We never got to those discussions, obviously, because but I don't know if they would have. They may have used my name, because I think people by that point were kind of knowing what Paul and everybody looked like, and Gene. I think pictures would have been kind of sneaking out by then. I think, you know what I mean, because it was, So I don't know how they would have done that. I would have thought that they would use that to their advantage, using my name, but I don't know. Who knows?
You mentioned Aerosmith. Was there any ever discussion especially after Joe left, about coming in there?
Yeah, well, David Krebs was a friend of mine. Like I said, he asked Mickey Jones and myself to be in the New York Dolls way back when we actually put Angel together. We said we declined that. We said, David, we have this band called Angel. We'd like you to see. And of course, David saw us and said if we didn't sign with him, it'd be a mental masturbation, because he wanted to sign the band so bad. But so David and Krebs and I, we stayed friends. We're still friends. I just saw him out in Las Vegas at the Hair Metal Award show there. I hadn't seen him in many years, but we're still friends. And so Joe Perry and Brad Whitford quit. And I had known Aerosmith because Daddy Warbucks, the band Bugs, we put that together in Boston, and we were actually. I lived in an apartment with Brad Whitford one time in Framingham, Mass. Up there, his wife and my wife would go out and shop, while Brad and I would sit and drink beer and smoke joints and play guitar. And so I knew Steve and all those guys pretty well. But that's when they just had the regional hit with Dream On. It was just a regional hit. It wasn't even a big hit yet. And they were kind of touring around in a van playing local spots around the Massachusetts area. So I knew those guys well. And Tyler was a big fan of mine. He always talked about how he thought I was a great guitar player and stuff. And so when that spot came up, David gave me a call and said, Aerosmith, Perry left and Brad Whitford left, and David Scripps said, I think you'd be a great addition for this band. Why don't you think about it? So the same thing. That was kind of the same period, just about. And I said, well, Greg and I, we're still together. We're shopping some deals, and stuff. So, I never got back to him with that, and then of course, then Jimmy Krepsico came in and Rick Dufay came in, and then of course that, I think, but people have asked me to do these. Even David asked me to play with Michael Bolton at one time too, because they were trying to put Michael Bolton in like a black leather, make him more of a hard rock guy, and they asked me to do that too. Of course, that never happened either. But so people would approach me about different things back then. It's just that it didn't work out. I was either doing something else, or I just maybe never took it too seriously. I don't know, because I was doing my Angel thing. You know what I mean? That was all I was thinking about back then.
So it went from Angel to Legend, and that then morphed into Jufria, right?
Right. Yeah. Actually, Legend that was David Isley was in the band with Greg. It was David, and we had this drummer named John Shearer. He's an English guy. He's a funny guy. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the largest drum kit ever, or something. And the bass player was Bobby Benjamin, and we recorded I think 5 or 6 tracks. And we were shopping a deal, but we didn't. We got turned down, so passed on us and that sort of thing. And so, by that point, I kind of had enough. I said, "Well, I'm headed back." I was kind of tired of music business anyway. I headed back east, and kind of washed my hands of the business. And then, of course, after that, but that deal later on, then of course, I think Greg went to Gene Simmons, and I think that's when they gave him the deal.
Yes,
for that, which became the Edge of Freya.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember reading about Legend in Kerrang! Magazine, I think, so I remember that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Brad Whitford. You know, Whitford St. Holmes just released another record after 35 years. So maybe, how cool would a Punky Brad Whitford tour be?
That'd be fun. Yeah, that would be really cool. You know, some people even sing with Frank, but Frank on the tour too with it. You know what I mean? And with his band, and maybe Brad Whitford, something like that. That'd be great. That'd be a lot of fun. In fact, somebody put on my group page that they were at a Whitesnake concert, and one of the fans had my T-shirt on with the Fallen Angel Punky Meadows Fallen Angel T-shirt on it, and Brad saw it and said, "Hey, how's Punky's record? How's Punky's record?" And the guy said it was a great record, and Brad said to the guy, "Yeah, Punky and I used to live in the same apartment building together."
Nice.
So I told that fan about that. Yeah, that we used to sit around and play guitar and stuff, you know. And I remember Brad would say to me, "Man, you're a hotshot guitar player, man." We would sit around and play, just get drunk, smoke joints, and play music all day long while the girls shopped. And Brad's a sweetheart of a guy, a really nice guy. And Brad's a really good guitar player. In fact, yes. I actually like Brad's playing better than Joe Perry's playing myself, just me personally. And I think Brad's just a really good guitar player.
Punky, you mentioned eventually there's going to be another record, right?
Yeah, I'm writing for that right now. I mean, we've always been writing for this record. We started writing as soon as we were putting some tracks down for some vocal tracks that Danny and I were already sitting on the couch with guitars writing new songs. We have one really cool song called "Lovers, Muggers, and Thieves," and that might be the next title or next album. We're not sure yet, but so I'm writing songs right now, and I've got all these really great ideas. And Danny and I will get together and we'll put our heads together, and start putting together some new stuff. I'm pretty prolific as a songwriter, you know. And so is Danny actually, and which is really great because I love the stuff he comes up with, and he likes the stuff I come up with too. So it's a good team together. So yeah, I'm excited about doing that. I love to write music. And I love the recording process too. You know, getting in there and layering a record like a painting. You know what I mean? And just watching it come together, and just having so much fun creating parts. It's just a blast. You know. Well, when you're an artist, you can't have when you're an artist. That's what you want to do, and every artist wants to be loved. So you try to do the best you can to please the fans as well too. You know.
Punky, if people want to find you online, how can they do that?
The best way would be go to Facebook, and it's the official Punky Meadows group page, and everything is going on there. Everything is posted on there, and of course you can friend me as well on Facebook, and then there's Twitter as well too, and there's all kinds of social media places you can go to, but the Facebook would be the best way to get on there and check out what's going on there. Are you on my page?
I did send you a request.
On my group page?
Yep, I'm on your group page, yep.
Okay, great. Sweet. Okay, cool.
Yep, and of course all the usual places from Main Man for the record, iTunes, Amazon, all that good stuff.
Right, and yes, you can get it on all major outlets. And of course, like I said, we also have a European deal and also Japanese deal, so it's being sold all over the world and being promoted all over the world. So we're excited.
The record is Fallen Angel, Punky Meadows. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.
It's my pleasure. It's been so great talking to you, Mark.
For Punky Meadows, I'm Mark Skaar.